Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Well, I've got the Altcoin t-shirt on, Alts are pumping, and we've got Kyle or Trader Dax, as you might know him, here to have a look at a few of our favourite charts. So we're going to be running through a few of the big names, a few of the older classics, and then some of the more bullish themes. So layer twos, gaming, the liquid staking derivatives, and a few hidden gems. So these are all things that we've spoken about in the platform and covered with our research. Thanks to everyone that's been supporting that as well. We've just passed 500 members, and I think we're going to cap that lifetime membership special at the first 1,000 people as we did back in the day. So you can head over to nuggetsnews.com.au for all our premium research. But how are you going, Kyle? Another good day on the market.
Mate, absolutely loving life at the moment. It's been probably the most painful bear market of any asset of all time. It might be stretching it a bit, but definitely for us being in the crypto industry, it's been a painful 2 years.
Yes.
So it's nice to see a bit of green, and especially the altcoins. A lot of them were so oversold, like 95% down. Start to move out of their accumulation ranges. So it's definitely a sight for sore eyes.
Absolutely. So we'll touch on maybe a little bit of the fundamentals, but we'll have a look on these charts and what levels we're interested in now they are breaking out. But I guess everyone's been talking about the Bitcoin ETF hype, and it looks like that's very, very close now. But one of the things we mentioned a couple of weeks ago in a YouTube video was that ETH Bitcoin ratio looked like that had bottomed. I expected ETH to play catch up and outperform, and the talk about the Ethereum ETF, which was pretty non-existent a few weeks ago. All of a sudden, that's all over Twitter, and ETH's been all the rage, and that tends to drag these alts. And so it's all really playing out nicely. Any thoughts on all of that?
Well, I mean, I think you nailed that call, to be honest, and even caught myself off guard on that one a little bit because I was expecting Bitcoin to push to 39.5K, and it sort of got that level got front run a little bit by the ETH ETF news getting announced last night, and then the rotation play happened. So I actually missed the first part of this rotation. So I'm going to try and position over the next couple of days out of some BTC into ETH because I've been 100% Bitcoin and then a few strong alts and stuff like that, and then mainly just leverage trading the rest. So yeah, that was obviously nailed that one. So yeah, I'm about 12% off. Missed that push by ETH. So going to rotate through now, and I think probably the next few plays is going to be looking at like the rest of the ETH ecosystem and coins and stuff like that that can catch up. And we've got a few on our list today, so I think it'll be good to go through.
Awesome. Yeah. If you want to bring up that chart, I think Bitcoin still got to roughly those levels that we've been looking at. And I think the main thing was that we are probably both saying I don't think there's a lot of a pullback coming a couple of weeks ago when a lot of people were caught off guard by the big move, and you don't get another chance to get on board the train sometimes. When it's just been this bear market for so long, and people go, "Oh, the mentality is that it's just going to pull back all the time," and it just doesn't give you that
Mm.
chance.
And the thing is, like, you do get pullbacks, but they're on very low time frame. Like, you get a pullback on like, the 1 hour or under time frame. You don't get a pullback on the daily. Like once it starts going, once it pulls back on the daily, like you've already missed the entire move. Like so,
Yeah.
it's just not a viable strategy when the market's this hot. I'm almost just buying breakouts right now. If I see a clean level, like high time frame level, weekly or daily level, get cleaned, then I'm just aping in because that's how you play it when it's like this.
Yeah. So what are you looking at now on the Bitcoin chart?
So this is our long-term VWAP indicator, which is really really handy for just giving you clear levels and lines in the sand that probably not a lot of people are looking at, but a lot of institutions actually use this system to, average in and out of trades and stuff like that, and also look for targets and if they should be in a coin or a stock or not. We can see here that the previous year's value area high, which is from this value area, we put in two really key highs back here at 31,200. So on BTC, once we finally broke out of that, we gapped right up to the 2021 value area low, which is from back here, this value area back here. So the low got put in there. And also, you can see this little green dotted line through here. That's also the macro Fibonacci level. If you go from the all-time high to the all-time low of the bear market we just had, it's the 0.382, right? So that both of those being in those same areas, pretty strong level of confluence. So I've been really watching to see, okay, is this going to be actually able to break into this new value area, or are we going to get rejected and roll over? And if we do eventually come down to this 31,250 area, that's a buy for me, 100%. And it would be really similar to this move back here when we broke out in 2020, almost exactly the same setup. Broke out of a really clean previous year value area, came back, retested, and pushed it. So we could see some kind of price action like that. And the other opportunity that we might be able to get if it doesn't have a pullback that deep is a bit more of a deeper push up through here, and then we have a throwback. And I think this value area low from 2021 will probably be the pullback area that could get defended. So I'll be looking for, a little bit of confluence here with the order blocks as well, and then the 2021 value area low, and then the macro Fibonacci level of 0.382 to hold as well, and then push up from there. So I think that can definitely happen. We're for sure overdue for some sort of a throwback soon. Look at how overbought the daily time frame is. But don't get confused, guys. Like if you're looking at bullish divergence or bearish divergences in an uptrend, like you can have a lot of bearish divergences. Like look at this. We had bearish divergences for ages, and the price literally went up another 200-300%. So it doesn't mean that you have to have an instant throwback. RSI should be used to buy retracements, and now we're in an uptrend. We should be looking to buy a retracement, say like on the 4 hour, or a bullish divergence, then not be looking to sell bearish divergences here. So you can get caught out doing that. So just be careful of that. But yeah, that's the main trades at the moment for BTC. Obviously, it's in the middle of a major move right now. It could just sort of flatline and chop around through here also for a little while. That, in my opinion, would be bullish, and we just get like a bull flag, and end up doing something like that and then pumping. And then the target would be the VWAP, so the 2021 VWAP, which is about 45K. And then there's this area up here as well that I like for a target. And I think, if we do have another strong rally, I think between this 45 and 48K level will probably be the top before the halving. I don't really see us getting much higher than that level because we've got the 0.618 Fibonacci on the macro fib as well up here, right? I don't see us getting much higher than that until the halving's over.
Yeah. Just quickly before we get into some of these other alts, do you want to just mention some of the differences between the spot market and futures markets, or how Coinbase has been leading price and what that means?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a little tool which is quite helpful. I'm not sure if I can get this up or not.
Yep, that's up.
So yeah, this tool, it's sort of like a bit of a way of just looking at like quantitative analysis bit, but it really helps, especially if you're looking for low time frame entries and stuff like that, or just like actual strength of the market. And that's when we have the spot market leading here. So I'll give you a look. This is just Coinbase spot only. If it will load in, and you can see here that when it's trending up, the market is quite strong, and this is telling us when people are market buying on spot. And when this is led by perpetuals, it's sort of like a weak market, and because people will sell perpetuals a lot faster than what they'll sell their spot. So when the market is being driven by the spot players rather than being pushed up by perpetuals on leverage and stuff like that, because somebody can be pushing the market up on a 30x or 50x leverage. They don't have the millions of dollars that say the whale does. It's buying and pushing the market up using spot. And so if you have people that are trying to short on perps, which is what's been happening recently, the bear whales have been trying to defend their liquidations by shorting extra, which just gives another target for the whales that are driving the market up using spot. So,
Yeah.
if you're trying to protect a position that's above 35K, like what we just saw recently, and you're shorting constantly on perpetuals, while you have somebody it's called T-wapping, which is what you can see happening here on Coinbase, and like back through here, you can see it's not loading in, but these green bars will pop up and it'll just be really, really green in patches. And usually when you see those patches pop up, that's where like there's reversals and the trend will start to push back up. So you can see here, Coinbase started buying again through this period here, and that's when the next rally started. So yeah, that's basically how it works. You know, if the market's being led by perpetuals, it's sort of considered to be weak and vulnerable, and if it's being led by spot, it's actually like solid buyers that are looking to hold for a decent period of time, and they won't sell as easy. They won't be as flimsy.
Yeah, and I'll link that website down below for people as well.
Yeah,
But
sweet.
let's jump into ETH and have a look at a few of these altcoin charts.
Yes, I think probably one of the really important charts at the moment to look at is ETH BTC, because we had this massive falling wedge that's been building since September 22, and it fell out the bottom of that. And so this is called like a bump and run pattern. Came down and hit this pretty much an order block through here, right? And found support there, and also on the long-term trend line all the way back from January 2020, right, which was tagged back in 21 January, and that was just before Ethereum had its really big pump, and that was one of the best trades of the last cycle, to be honest. So bouncing back off that level is actually a really strong sign. And we can see on Ethereum the amount of strength that it's showing through here versus the previous cycle. Like, look at how deep that pullback was versus the pullback through this entire cycle. So it's held its own this cycle, which is good to see, a bit of more maturity in the asset. It's not trading like some of the other altcoins that are going to dump 95% versus Bitcoin again. So yeah, the reclaim of this trend, of this bottom trend line of this falling wedge, is actually really big. The next level I want to see get reclaimed is going to be this high just here, right? If we can reclaim this level here, that is going to be really bullish for Ethereum, and do something like this and break out the top of this triangle pattern here. The Nasdaq just did something pretty similar, right? Very similar type setup. And also gold just did the same thing as well. So Ethereum's obviously much larger time frame, this pattern than the other two, but it's the same setup, right?
Yeah.
And typically what you see is it'll reclaim and then push up, and then the first target was going to be around this high here, which is about 0.70, and then would be the top here at 0.84, right? And so then if it cleans this level up, because this is a major level through here, 3 or 4 really key highs. If it breaks out of there, then it opens up pushing back to its previous all-time high versus Bitcoin, and that means that the ETH USD chart is going to go absolutely ballistic. So had a really nice falling wedge through here, broke out with Bitcoin the other day and just been chopping sideways. Nice bull flag through there, then a smaller bull flag over the last few days. And then obviously last night really took off in a major way when we got the announcement, and now it's starting to play catch up. But the problem is it has come to a key level, right, which is this point here, and then this is the weekly high for the last couple of years. So if we can clear that range, there is a little bit of resistance in this gray box here, but it's nothing major. I'll just flick to the daily time frame. Right, it is a bit of a daily order block. Could maybe get some sort of a consolidation. So I think it's either going to pull back and do like a bull flag and then push here, or break out and we might get caught up here for a little bit. But I think that easily this could run up to about 27. For a long-term VWAP indicator, the level is 25, which matches up perfectly with these lows back here, right, which is a weekly level. So I think this is the main target for Ethereum on this current move, and then we'll see how it ends up playing out. There is the yearly high, the previous year high at 3K as well, which could be interesting to see also. But I think if Bitcoin can make it up to 48K, then Ethereum can make it up to 3,500 is basically what I'm looking at.
Cool.
So I don't see either of them getting over that before the halving, but I think ETH now on a move to 2.5 is definitely very viable, likely, and to 3K is definitely on the cards as well.
Cool. Well, let's just quickly have a look at some of the alts that probably broke out first. Some of the more blue chip household names that have been around a while, like Chainlink, Aave, Solana. I know you had good setups on these trades as well. A couple of weeks, couple of months ago now.
Yeah, so in the groups and stuff like that, if you've been following me for a while, we all talked about this big invest head and shoulders setting up on Solana down here at about $19, and heaps of the guys in the communities have messaged me telling me that they got into trades down there, and one guy oversized his position, in my opinion, and he's held it the whole way, and he's made a ridiculous amount of money off that trade. So that's always cool to see. Um, but yeah, this has been a great move. And this was always a really obvious one once you got this invest head and shoulders in here that was going to try and come up and at least tag 27. And once we cleared that 27, there was always going to be a bit of a liquidity pool above these equal highs up here, because when you have equal highs like this, so many people just put their stop loss just above this level, right? So I'm not sure why does want to draw right now, but so many people had their stop losses just above this level, and that's why I sort of put this liquidity pool badge here, because I knew once it sort of got above this 38, 39 level, it could hit a whole heap of short liquidations, and that's why it just pumped instantly up to the next level of resistance at 47. And then we had the huge pullback, and it's just managed to continue to grind higher, even though the FTX debtors, the debtors are the people who control the bankruptcy estate, are dumping massive amounts of Solana into the market right now. But they've almost run out. I think they only have a 250K clip left. And look at what Solana's doing right now. It's still grinding hard. It's still pushing up. It's up, another 5% today, which is just crazy. Considering there's a whale dumping on the market nonstop. So, it easily can gap up. If it can get out of this level here, which it's pushing into at the moment, let's just say $49, $50, the next target is at $78. And when you have gaps in the market like this, they can fill really, really quickly. And if you look on the other side as well, like this just ran so if you study like low time frame trading on the SPX 500 and stuff like that, people would call this an imbalance, right? Obviously, we're looking at a much higher time frame, but this is imbalance up, and then this is imbalance down. And when you have imbalances in the price action like that, when price comes back to it, there's not as many orders sitting in the way blocking the price from moving, so it can move really quickly and gap through again. So yeah, if it gets out of $50, it can easily gap up to 80 quite far.
Yeah, and I think I know there's a lot of people that are super interested in the Solana ecosystem, and I've been more focused on the ETH ecosystem, obviously, over the years. But Eddie, Jason, and Michael just did another piece on some of the best Solana projects. So the team is now focused on those other ecosystems as well, doing their research.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's so much happening on Solana. Like, I'm pretty sure Google started running a node just a couple of days before FTX went under back here. And I mean, it just shows that the project has got a lot more legs, that's for sure. So yeah, I'm definitely a longer term bag hold for me. We'll see if it can get back to its previous all-time high.
Yeah.
A few people on Twitter are calling some pretty large numbers, but we'll see. And basically, if Bitcoin can get to 48K, a relative similar level would be $137 on Solana.
Yeah. Okay, Chainlink, another crowd favorite.
Yeah, so Link, this is another one that we called really early in the group for everybody, and a lot of people caught this one. It was super obvious because, I mean, look at this accumulation. This is probably the easiest type of trade, in my opinion, to make. You got a 500-day accumulation with a perfect spring down here as well. So when you have these lows like this, my drawing tool doesn't want to work for some reason. Not sure what's happening. But when you have these lows like this, and then you have those lows get broken and put in like this, and then you reclaim, that's like, for me, the most obvious entry that there can be in all of trading. You're getting in really close to the bottom. So, as soon as this reclaim through here, I started buying Link here. I bought through here as well. Then I added it into position here and added it here as well. And then the next potential entry is when it breaks out the top of its range. And, in normal market conditions, you get a retest of the range high, but because the hype is so strong right now in crypto and for coins like Link, for example, it just took off and it's just kept on going. So, looking at the daily time frame right now, it looks like it probably wants to have a bit of a pullback. I mean, it's been an absolutely epic run, 120% from just the middle of the range, and from the lows 170%. So you definitely can see some profit taking here, and I would like to see this level here hold at $12.70.
Yeah.
So if that can hold, if my drawing tool will work, yeah, there we go. If that can hold and we get some sort of a nice big flag here, that would be the next opportunity to enter. So this was what you'd call your sign of strength. If you're following Wyckoff accumulation theory. So yeah, you have the breakout of the range, and then you push up, and then you have the sideways chop, which would obviously coincide with Ethereum probably finishing its run and Bitcoin as well. And so the thing to note as well is when Bitcoin is ranging sideways and alts have their second run and their next push, it usually happens when Bitcoin pushes from the bottom of its range to the top of its range. So they sell off with BTC, but then they run again when BTC moves back to the range high that it's in. So that's what I've been looking for. Link to come back to $12 for the next entry, and BTC starting to reverse and head back up, and then get in on a pin bar or something like that off this level. That would be what I'd be looking for here.
I think similar chart as well for Arve up next.
Yeah, Arve as well. This was a really obvious one. And this is why I talked about these charts so much, because I thought that they were just the easiest entries. So you can see multiple lows here, swept through here. It didn't really have an obvious spring like Link did. But, this one sort of took out the lows here. That's enough for me. And then you get the nice retest back here. And on Arve, we had this downtrend through the middle of the range as well, which is always interesting to see, because that can also be another opportunity to enter into a position on. And it just gives you a nice intra-range sign of strength, so you know that things are moving in the right direction, breaking out of a key level like this. So yeah, I actually managed to buy, in this red box as my target zone for buying, basically. So I bought in there multiple times, and then I also added to my position after we broke out of this downtrend. And so this is a fair bit behind where Link is and Solana is at the moment. And so we don't know if this is going to 100% break out just yet. This might chop around sideways on top of these highs and put in a little bit of a flag before trying to make it its next move out and do something like this. And that would be a really nice entry to get in and back off the top of the range again, or, in some sort of a bull flag through here, right? It also can come up to the range high. And then just reject off that as well, and then roll over one more time, coming back to the lows. So don't be confused that just because some things have broken out, everything is just going to break out and follow as well.
All right, next up we've got some of the gaming coins. If you were to whip through these, I think a lot of them have got similar charts, but they've been some of the best performers. And I think I've got all of these in my portfolio as well, guys, if you go to the portfolios tab in the platform. So gaming is definitely one of the things we're thinking is going to be a best performer, as well as these layer 2 coins, the liquid staking derivatives, and a few of these others that we'll mention at the end as well. So it's good to see all the themes that we've been most bullish on and those alts really starting to perform strongly.
Yeah, so Axie here, really nice reclaim of the range low from these 2 points back here. Similar coin is going on, like in terms of chart wise, not fundamentals, obviously, is Sushi and Sui as well. So Sushi had it's probably a better example. Sushi had a really clean range, multiple touches inside the range, and then had a strong breakdown similar to this, and it reclaimed the range and then pumped really aggressively. So this, for me anyway, this is actually potential to enter into this trade if it can hold above this previous range low. So these 2 points here is the buying climax. If it can hold above this level, then I want to be in this trade. So basically above $6, I want to stay in it. And I'll be looking for it to hit a whole heap of liquidations above this level and pump into the middle of the range, do something like that, right?
Beautiful. Alluvium, the Aussie guys, another great Aussie team.
So yeah, this was a great trade. Talked about this one a lot as well, and it was just really obvious. You know, I always try and get into the bottom quarter in setups like this. So the lows were here, came down and bounced off it, and then really tight range down here. As soon as it broke out of that range up to this level here, once it broke out of the sort of quarter bottom range, like it was just going to pump, right? So yeah, I bought a position back, I think it was around here, around 47, and then added down in this point here. And my position was, if it was going to break underneath these lows here, then I would stay out. I would get out of the market. And then if it was going to come back up, oh, sorry, my computer is not loving me right now for some reason. If it comes back up underneath and reclaims that range low, same as what Link did, for example, then that's when we start buying again. But yeah, this is obviously pumped really nicely to range high. Now we have to see what it's going to do. Can it get out of the range is going to be the question. So can it do this and flip this range high and put in some sort of a bull flag? That would be a really nice entry if it can for the next move up. And then potentially it can run all the way up to $280 over the next few months, right?
Yeah.
Now, if it can't get out of the range, it might just come up and take out this level back here at about $110, right? And then come back into the range. That would be a signal to take profit. And it's probably going to bleed all the way back down to the range low. And then we can reload the position for the next time that runs. And this might be a coin that doesn't really break out of its accumulation range until after Bitcoin's had its halving.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Immutable X, again, another Aussie project who had an announcement this week. They're partnering with Ubisoft, one of the biggest gaming companies in the world.
Yeah, wow, it's pretty impressive. So, bit of a wick back here, but it's hard to tell if that was because maybe there was a little bit of news early that they were going to partner with Ubisoft or not. What did you say before? Somebody might have had loose lips.
Loose lips, maybe a few days early. You never know.
So yeah, I think most likely this will run to the range high, which is $1.57. So yeah, this could be similar type setup to what we've just seen on Illuvium, and it's either going to break out of the range, all right, and do this, break out of the range, and then you can get in on the retest, or it's going to come up, fake out a breakout, and then roll back over, and then maybe do something like this and take off later on next year, and the next time we have altcoin hype.
Next up, we've got the layer 2. So these are probably just three of the biggest ones, but I'm pretty bullish on probably a dozen scaling projects now that are either on ETH or cross-chain compatible.
Yeah, so really interesting chart here. It's not the easiest to chart. We did have a bit of this downtrend that got broken, smaller range down through here, and as soon as it broke out from that, obviously started looking a lot more bullish. I sort of feel like this is only moving because everything else is pumping right now. And maybe it needs to accumulate a little bit more, or it's just going to run all the way back up to its yearly highs. And maybe it ends up doing something like this and runs again, has another bleed out. But yeah, this isn't really anything I can see that's too obvious. If it stays strong, and obviously, if Ethereum keeps pumping, it can definitely run to $1.62. So let's just say Ethereum gets to 3,500 and Bitcoin gets to 48K before the halving. Then yeah, Matic can easily move to the range high. It's been in, since the whole of 2022. It can definitely move up to $1.60 if BTC and ETH can push that high.
Yeah. Arbitrum.
So Arb's a little bit harder because it's more of a newer coin. There's not as much price action history, but to me it looks like okay. They had the airdrop and released and everything like that. People have been selling off. It's been bleeding out. Nice double bottom pattern through here with the W shape, right? And it's broken out of that, and we just came back and retested that high overnight. So it's always good to see that there were buyers willing back here and pushed it straight back up. So I think this is just going to follow Ethereum. If it can break $1.30, then I think it will definitely run to $1.70. That'll be the target up here, but it'll probably run to new highs and then go into price discovery and then yeah, from there, you got to use Fibonacci levels and stuff like that, and pivots and things like that. So I think this one probably has a long way to go, to be honest. And we're obviously just at the start of its life cycle, but a big breakout above $1.30, and yeah, then I think the main breakout here is above $1.30, and then after it gets out of $1.70, it'll just start going ridiculous.
Good to hear. Optimism is another one who people should have done pretty well. I think we did that Optimism tutorial, and there's been multiple airdrops now. If you follow those steps and bridge to Optimism, which was the first layer two to launch on ETH, integrating Uniswap DEX from layer two. So
Yeah, very nice. So at the moment, price has been caught up on this level from this order block from back here. This is the resistance zone that we're in at the moment. And if it can get out of here, like this is similar to some of the other coins we're just talking about, like Illuvium, etc. It easily can roll back over and stay inside this accumulation range. So, don't like panic too much if you're not in some of these, because alts are still in their range. They might stay range bound unless the market gets really ridiculous. But yeah, this easily could come back down, put in a spring here, and that would be the next entry through there. If not, though, if we clear this level, I think that's really bullish. And then, because this is the range, right? You would be looking for, if we can reclaim the range low, you'd be looking for a move up. You can reclaim the range low, we'd be looking for a move up to $2.70 for sure. And then, this is obviously another one of those newer coins that, can easily, if it clears this $2.70 level, it's going to run to a new all-time high, and then, end up doing price discovery. And, who knows where it's going to go from there, to be honest. Like, it can easily run to like $10 or something. Once things move into price discovery and crypto, anything can happen.
So next up, we've got some of the staking coins, projects that allow you to stake your ETH. Now we've got the proof of stake network running.
Yeah, so LDO, similar sort of thing. It's moved up to a level that's sort of like an accumulation range through here. This is the lows, obviously, and the highs are here. So this might get caught up and stay in here as well, right? And break out a little bit later. But I think if Ethereum continues to push and breaks out of its current level, which is that weekly level 21,140. If it breaks out of that, then I would expect this level to go. And then, the only thing holding this down from moving into price discovery as well is basically $3.27. Right. And I think that'll be the same as ARB and OP. Like, once this level here goes, it will go into price discovery. It can get really ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm going to look at Rocket Pool next up, and then we'll go back to Libra.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a really strong move off the lows.
Yeah, huge move so far. 80% off the lows. A bit of a weirder chart to look at, to be honest. But the only real significant level I can see right now is this order block back here. So we're pushing into that level right now. Obviously, when we got above it yesterday, selling sort of kicked in. Probably the other point would be this one here as well. So clear those two levels that we're sort of at right now, and yeah, it's probably going to push to about $52, because it's the same philosophy of what we were talking about before. If it can get into the range low, then push up to the range highs. And if it can clear this $52 level, then it's going to do the same thing. It's going to, push to a new all-time high and then go into price discovery, and then, the lid's off it.
Yeah. Libra. So for those of you that are paying attention, watching the full video, this is a bit of a hidden gem that we've covered. This is one that allows you to use your staked ETH derivatives to mint stable coins and that type of thing. So I think it's only 12 million market cap, and it's already had a decent run.
So yeah, nice push so far, 70%. The next level of resistance, which it can easily just continue to run to, is $2.22, right? So I don't see any there's nothing in here to tell me why this will stop pushing to get to this level, right? And then push to an all-time high. The only thing I think that will cause a coin like this to have a pullback would be Bitcoin or Ethereum crashing really hard, right? It's
Yeah.
pretty safe to say that Ethereum most likely is going to continue to run as the ETF news continues to heat up for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if ETH continues to push and pushes up to like 3,000 or 2.5, this is probably going to do the same thing. Breakout of this level here in $2.23, and I think it starts to run to a new all-time high and it moves into price discovery as well. So yeah, a
Yeah.
couple of nice coins there. Um, that really have potential to move into price discovery and just have stupid pumps. I mean, coins last cycle, like Solana, for example, they looked like this for a long time and they were really difficult to chart. And, once they broke these clean key levels through here, like $3 and stuff like that, Solana ended up pushing all the way to like 300 and something. So, it's hard for me to give estimates of how high these things can go once they break out into price discovery.
Yeah.
That's it on my
Definitely
end.
more about fundamentals when they're so thinly traded and new coins and that type of thing. The next one is Maple, another one I think we first covered 3 or 4 years ago that's been very busy moving real world assets on chain and in the decentralized finance space. I think they've got the US government bonds now and giving some of that yield back, and inflation backdrops all worked in their favor. So this is one I think we covered again when it was about $4. It's now already tripled in the last couple of months.
Yes, there's a bit of resistance. What we're going to say this level through here, which is where it's come up and tagged. So this was the last swing high before we sold off into the lows. And it's the same as when we were at this point back here, right? It was the last swing high before we sold off. And you see resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, but it ended up breaking through. And it's just once it breaks out of that resistance, which is range high, just pushes to the next level. So now, the thing to see here is, does it pull back? I mean, this easily can pull back all the way to $8.73, and that'll give a really nice entry. Maybe it flags out a little bit. Maybe it forms like a falling wedge and then breaks out and takes a little bit longer. Right, those are the sort of things that I'll be watching this for. At the moment, I definitely can't buy that because that's a top signal right there. What we can look for though is where might this pull back to? So I think this $9 sort of area is definitely a good position to be getting into if it does have a pullback. And then the other thing is maybe it holds high and then ends up breaking out after sometime through December or something like that, or even earlier. If it can clear this level of $15, then the next target that we're looking for is 23.70, right? And then I think if it clears this 23.70, might get caught up a little bit at this $30 level. And then this is what we were talking about before. I think it was Solana, the Solana chart. You have the imbalance up and then you have the imbalance down. Once it clears this level at $30, like it can easily gap up all the way to 47 really quickly.
Nice. Thorchain. So this is another cross-chain bridge. A lot of people say, hey, how do I swap my Bitcoin for Ethereum or vice versa straight from your ledger? This is a project that allows that as well as swapping of other coins. And I think there's plans for possibly minting their own stablecoin backed by Rune, Bitcoin, and ETH as well.
And this has been an amazing push so far. I mean, even from the bombs, it's already up 320%. So it's got to be one of the best performing coins of this cycle so far, that were around already from the previous cycle, right? That's an amazing push because it was so insanely oversold. And it's already starting to hit into this imbalance area that we have here, right? So this I don't see really has many reasons apart from a Bitcoin Ethereum crash to stop before $6, to be honest. Like there's nothing really telling me that, it can fail. The only thing would be if it came back, below this level or below here. But maybe that could be, if it does fail to get a proper breakout, that could be the next entry. And I'd be looking for $6 as the target. And then realistically, like most, this is probably going to cycle and eventually make it all the way up to $12. It looks super strong. And everybody talks about, well, in my community anyway, a lot of people talk about how good the fundamentals are of this, and I think you agree. I don't see why this cycle, like early in the cycle, why it can't push to $2.40, or at least even get back to its previous all-time high. I don't know about token issuance or anything like that, if it has way higher market cap and token supply than it did back here or not, but
I don't know off the top of my head, but I don't think it's too bad. No, it's one I've got in my portfolio, so I still like Thorchain. Yeah.
Yeah, nice, nice. So yeah, I mean, unless it has like some crazy issuance issue or something like that, which some of the coins do have like alluvium, right? So we're probably not expecting alluvium to run to new all time highs and go into crazy price discovery, but this one easily can push back to its previous all time highs, right?
Yeah. And finally, DYDX. So this is an interesting one because they've made the move away from ETH over to be a Cosmos chain, and they were one of the leading decentralized trading protocols on Ethereum. So that's going to be interesting to see if they can get volume to come over to another chain. But I guess the other thing to mention here that this was the biggest airdrop in crypto history. So a project we covered 4 years ago, and people got $50,000 US of DYDX tokens if you're a frequent user of the protocol.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? 50K is unbelievable to just be given by a project. Obviously, had a crazy cycle last cycle and pumped really hard, and it's just pulled back and been chopping sideways within this range. So, you know, similar sort of setup to what we were looking at earlier on, like Chainlink and Solana and Aave. It's still range bound, so it can stay range bound until the altcoin run post Bitcoin halving. The real test is going to be up here in between $4 and $3.30. So I can easily see this coming up and then rejecting, coming back down, maybe even putting in a spring or something like that if there's a black swan or something next year. Or any reason for the market to crash, right? I will be looking for a reclaim. I will be looking for a break of this level, which is basically $1, and a reclaim of that. Always works really well, which I outlined in a few setups before. Or maybe this is a little bit stronger and ends up breaking out here and flipping this level into support. That would also be a really easy opportunity for me to get in and hold a long-term trade. So either something like this, right, and get in here after the reclaim, or a breakout of range high and then get in on the support resistance flip. And then, yeah, it is the same as what we're looking at before. You just look for the last swing high before the sell-off, and those are usually your targets. So $7. Probably a little bit of a few issues at 10, right, because it's a nice round number as well. And then, $12. Then after that,
Awesome.
usually if coins can reclaim the 60% level, 68% level, so the 61.8. Usually if you can reclaim that, that basically gives it a green light to push and run to previous all-time highs. So, if it can eventually get out of this $17 level, then, we're looking for new all-time highs and, potentially even pushing up to say like $44 if it can make it to its next. Well, this is the first major Fibonacci target if you're looking for a market cycle target for a new all-time high for a coin. So but that's a long way in the
Awesome.
future.
All right, thanks for sharing those charts with us, mate. I'll get that off the screen. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. It's exciting times, as you mentioned, and hope everyone at home is enjoying it as well. It feels like the beginnings of the bull market if you're still watching these videos and still engaged with the crypto environment and the communities online, that type of thing. It really has changed pretty quickly, which is exciting off the back of these ETF news, which we all, I guess, knew was coming for the long-term believers in crypto.
100%, mate. Yeah, I mean, if you're paying attention now, you're definitely way ahead of the curve because it's still very early days right now in this cycle.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'll put all the links to follow Kyle down below. He's got specials on his courses and all that at the moment, as well as his trading group, and he's doing a lot of work for us in our community as well. So all that is over on the website. But otherwise, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share these videos around, and I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers.